sound that'll really make them turn around. The way I move, the way I dress, take a guess. I got that confidence, working overtime, paying myself in compliments. I got that confidence. I'm so cool. I'ma have my cake and eat it too. I got that confidence. Ooh. Showing up my can-do attitude.
Well, good morning. Welcome to the AI transformation event, hosted and brought on with the FinTech Talents team and myself, Scott, from Covecta. It's a real pleasure to have you all here. Thank you very much for joining. I know the trains have been a bit chaotic. I'm one of the founders and the CEO, and it's my duty right now to kick off the proceedings with this keynote. And we're hoping today we'll do a few things for you. It will help open up your mind and bring some new frameworks and thinking as you continue down your AI journey. We hope it will evolve your strategy and continue to kind of challenge what the next frontier is. We hope you'll hear from industry leaders, both on stage but at their booths, and also see where agents are already live in production. And I know there's been a nod already to some of our sponsors, but I'd also like to extend a thank you for your contributions to today. Alongside ourselves, we're looking to transform the technology stack for this sector going forward. So please do spend a minute to understand what the AI native operating model will look like in the future. In terms of this keynote, we've got around 20 minutes. I'm going to initially start with a perspective on our AI thesis at Covecta. I'll then give you a brief introduction to who we are and what we do. And then I'll show you a brief demo which highlights what, hopefully, the future of banking will look like. So let's get started. 20 minutes moves pretty quickly. AI is going to change the way we live, the way we work, and the way we engage with society. And we think of two frameworks when we approach this. The first is, how is software going to evolve and impact my work? And the second is a framework that helps us all recognize where we are on our adoption journey. And if we start with the first, there's a question, which is, what is software now? So software previously was a product. Then we had software as a service, and that's what we've all been used to for the last 15 years. But now we have software as a worker. And this is going to fundamentally change the relationship between technology and humans. And we think that there's 4 shifts that are going to unfold. The first, software as a worker will now complete the work for you. Previously, enterprise software just recorded what the human had already done. It will now complete that work, and the output is now a deliverable instead of an entry into a system of record. Secondly, software will now sit within your organization. It won't sit off to the side. It used to sit on your desk next to an underwriter, analyst, or credit officer. It's now a part of the team, in the rota, part of the job description. The buyer is changing. IT used to be heavy buyers of SaaS. That's moving towards the functional heads, the teams responsible for where these software workers will complete their work. And pricing is changing from seats to outcomes. Seat-based pricing is really a charge for access. Pricing is going to move to the output of workers. So if you are following and subscribe to this notion that software will become a worker and it's going to completely reimagine its way in an organization, then you might ask yourself, well, what does this worker look like on day one? Well, it depends what type of software you're buying. A horizontal application may come in with some knowledge of your sector. It can probably draft a polite email, but it won't get you through a credit committee. A vertical AI offering that is purpose-built for your sector, understands the depths of your credit memo, understands your covenants and your KYC files. This is the difference between a generalist temp arriving on day one and a seasoned operator. So we think this first theme around software as a worker is a really important paradigm shift as to how we think about evaluating, buying, and deploying next generation technology. And then there's a bigger theme that's been emerging over the last 12 months, and this is a capability overhang. The capability overhang is the delta between what AI can do today, frontier capabilities, and the adoption curve within this sector. And that's created an arbitrage window. And history knows that that arbitrage window doesn't stay open for very long. And those that move quickly will capture a near-term advantage, but also one that structurally compounds over time. Now, it's fair to say that there have been constraints. I think 6 to 12 months ago, the technology was a constraint. You couldn't rely on an LLM or an application to probably run a complex workflow. If you look at today, I think it's fair to say that we've come a long way in the last 6 to 12 months. The constraint now is organizational and cultural. And that's why we think it's important to address that over the next 18 months, which will likely define the next decade of banking. So then the question may be, well, why does this capability overhang exist? We don't think it's a lack of ambition. Every CEO and their executive team has AI on the agenda. We don't think it's a lack of spend. Trillions is spent globally on labor and software in this sector. It's probably not a lack of talent. There's plenty in the room and plenty in the industry to solve these challenges. We think it falls on 3 things. The first is AI is still being used and treated as a pilot. So this is where pilots are rolled out on an innovation roadmap in a sandbox experience. We're not solving for the complex mission-critical workflows. These pilots are typically owned by innovation teams, which is positive, but we're not bringing in enough functional experience. Production and agents in production means that they're connected in workflows with teams. It means that you're rewiring your organization and not just accelerating the deployment of a use case. The second is the wrong tools are used for the wrong job. And this is a really big feature. For the last 2 years, the loudest story in AI has been the horizontal co-pilot experience. If I can overstate, generic cross-functional tools that are available off the shelf to all members of staff. And genuine work has happened. But what they can't do is the following. They can't go into the depths of a credit memo, understand every line item, pull out the debt service coverage ratio for a borrower, and then reconcile that against a covenant test 3 quarters later autonomously. What it can't do is analyze your portfolio on an ongoing basis, understand where the risk and exposure sits, reconcile that against your current policies, put forward recommendations to compliance, and once it's approved, have all your agents updated so the next time you do an underwrite, it's already in action. And that's not a flaw with the technology per se. That's just a feature of where horizontal co-pilots sit in the value chain. The financial services sector is horizontal by nature. It's built up on policy, regulation, judgment. 150 years of accumulated practice in how to lend, how to deposit, how to protect, how to make sure you can explain 5 years down the line what your agents did to a regulator. Vertical AI applications understand this depth. They understand that a credit memo isn't just a document. It's a relationship that lives over time and systems. Vertical AI is the difference between pilot and production. It's the difference between an agent that drafts a marketing memo and one that completes your covenants in a fully deterministic manner. So this is the delta between a vertical and a horizontal view. That's been a big feature over the last 2 years. And then there's finally agents that still live in a separate window. So this is the difference between an agent that runs a use case and a complex workflow. Agents that run a use case are often found in sidebars or browsers. Agents that are actually embedded in workflows are what allow you to extend beyond the capability overhang. And we think there's 4 requirements to accelerating through the capability overhang. The first is that your agents need to be initiated where the work is. The second, your agents can autonomously source data from systems. And then your agents can read and write into a database with your output. And finally, the fourth is your agents can explain what they've done and how they've done it with auditability. That requires integration depth. It requires a consistent UI, but agents that also have a harness to initially live in these complex environments to begin with. If you don't achieve that, you're left with a use case that sits on top of a CRM, an LOS, a core, pick your vertical. AI is actually the promise that agents will operate through your stack, resurfacing insights and work for you. AI is the promise that we can rewire your organization and not just accelerate the use case. So that's the delta there as to where your agents live. So if that's some of the theory, let me spend just a minute introducing Covector. So we built Covector to be exactly what a horizontal copilot or an LLM is not. We built seasoned banker agents. Think of it as domain expertise in a software form. These are agents that understand how to run your institution across lending, accounts and deposits, and compliance. These are agents that are live in production, helping our clients drive adoption through to the capability overhang. And we strongly believe that the large language model is not the product. What is going to define success and change is a system or an AI solution. And this is our interpretation of that. And this is our agent harness. And just working from the ground up, this is the investment we bring to our clients. We bring the domain knowledge about products and regulation. We have native connectors so our agents can autonomously source data. We've got processing tools, ingestion tools, so we can manage your most complex data sets. Orchestration models. We can chain your agents to run complex underwriting workflows, as an example. We've got deterministic tools. Think of these as calculators that can accurately calculate covenants, affordability, LTV. Eval frameworks. This ensures that every agent meets a standard before it goes into production. And an audit trail. And then our clients, or yourselves, you just need to bring the final 10%. Your policies, process, procedures, risk threshold, human-in-the-loop triggers, output format. No need for you to provide us with your data to train or fine-tune any models. So maybe enough talking, and we'll show you maybe what the future looks like. Let's show you some seasoned banker intelligence. And this 4 or 5 minute demo is going to show a few different interactions. We'll show you the experience that an RM would have when they log on to Covector for the first time. How Vector will help you optimize your portfolio and your targets for the year ahead. We'll show you how an RM can engage with credit to mitigate risk. And then how an executive team can ensure the ongoing performance of their portfolio, aligning strategy with execution on the ground. Now, quite a fair bit of what you see here today is live in our platform, but I have taken the courtesy to pull forward some of our future innovation into this as well, to show you what will be in store. So I'm hoping this is going to work. Let's see. One more click. Here we go. So you're a relationship manager, Sarah. It should buffer. You've just logged on to Covector for the first time. And Vector understands who you are, what your role is, your exposure, and your geographical customer locations. And here, it's going to help you understand what your preferences are, how to optimize your portfolio. That's something that can be done on a recurring basis, but we don't need to wait. Instead, you can have agents automatically go into your third-party data or internal data sources and provide you insight, in this case on the Manchester property dynamics. So if that's giving you insight at your fingertips on one segment, what about your targets? Covector understands your targets, and it will also help you identify your opportunity. So in this case, we're going in to assess your products that your customers have, the exposure, maturity dates, against your playbooks. And then all of this will be provided to you, customer by customer, with the opportunity laid out. In this case, Spinningfield's capital has shown strong revenue growth, but working capital constraints, and they've fully drawn down on a 4.6 million facility. Vector has gone and identified a 2.5 million incremental facility opportunity to help bridge the construction loan. In parallel to that, it's also assessed your needs versus policy, and it's within the 5 million incremental limit, and your debt service coverage ratio is 1.8x. So now that work's been completed, Vector can help you draft your email so that you can send that off to your client. So Covector is more than just an AI tool. It's a system that's integrated with yours. And in this case, Covector has drafted the email within Outlook. Now you can go in, simply review it, approve it, and send it. And this is then consolidating the work that may have taken an hour down to a few minutes. We'll send a video out with better buffering. How about that? But I'm still in Outlook. And Vector can also see that one of your existing clients, James, has sent across some financials. This is off the back of a request to support with a loan application. Here, you can pull in Vector. Vector understands your open tasks, and it understands how to assess your client's data. In this case, it's going through and ingesting, creating the output, which is a credit memo. It's also identified that there's some missing documents per the requirements of creating a credit memo at your firm. Now, Vector will take you back to the platform, seamlessly showing you all the work that our agents have done on the left with the chain of thought, and then on the right, the populated credit memo. Here, it brings all the history from the previous conversation. You can now collaborate with your colleagues. You can also download this into a number of formats, such as Word or PDF. If you fancy, you can continue editing on the platform and upload future documents. But our agents are always on, always scanning your portfolio. And here, we provide notifications up through Teams. In this case, Spinningfield's capital's covenants are trending down, whether it's the debt service coverage ratio, revenue, or costs. But it doesn't stop there. It will provide you with a full health summary. So coming from the top down, you'll see your covenant performance, debt service coverage ratios, occupancy is down, net debt, and loan to value is up. And Vector has your playbooks. It understands your products and your requirements. And in this case, it suggested an escalation to credit. Fortunately, the team are on the platform. They've got the brief. The meeting is scheduled. And they've put a hold on any future credit commitments to that client. So the team is sorted. What about the executives? I'm always interested to be planning and scanning the performance of my portfolio. And in this case, 4 early warning indicators have been surfaced by our agents across the Manchester commercial real estate sector. This isn't just about one customer, it's systemic. And 47% of the book is stressed. Vector will then perform a range of analysis and reconcile any recommendations against your risk tolerance levels. In this case, we've suggested that pricing stays flat, your debt service coverage ratio increases to 1.4, and this should have a positive impact on your ROE and performance. Now all that's left is for you to modify this, send it to your compliance team for approval, and then your agents can be updated for future actions. So that's a quick kind of 4 to 5 minute view of where we are today with agents and how they're going to be used in the future. But what this shouldn't do is take us away from the bigger picture, which is the capability overhang. This is real, and it is large, but the window is closing. And everyone in this room and outside of this room has an option as to what to do with that window. Some may continue to run pilots in an innovation roadmap. Some may decide to negotiate seat-based pricing with their incumbent. Some, those who we'll be reading about in 2 years, will rewire the way their organization operates. And to start, and this is some of the stuff we often hear, to start, you don't need to seek perfection. You don't need certainty. You don't need a target end state architecture that's fully defined. You need a posture and the courage to move from pilot to production. And you need to focus on the vertical depth versus the horizontal demo. So you need to start if you haven't, and accelerate if you have. The window is closing. Thank you very much.